So what are the drivers, Chris? What are the drivers behind the Visa's growth, and how do you define Visa today?
Yeah, so I think that at its core, brands and businesses are not static, and I think that we look at the company both where we are, but more importantly, where we are going. And we are going in a direction with our clients, whether those are acquirers, whether those are issuers or banks, financial institutions, or merchants, and thinking about the payments industry writ large. And we feel like a lot of the things that Visa has always stood for, Visa will stand for even more prominently in the future, including security, including universal or close to universal acceptance, including trust and dependability and reliability, but also a bias towards innovation, and innovation that ultimately matters to the marketplace and to our clients. And so a lot of the energy that I think people feel both within the company and about the company is coming from what we're doing with each of those descriptions and how we are doing it, and the fact that we're doing it with our clients, but we're ultimately doing it for a consumer or for a cardholder in a way that makes a material impact in his or her life.
And Chris, we're also seeing that your competitive landscape has changed dramatically over the past few years. How does Visa brand evolve and to deal with these emerging form factors and emerging competitors?
Yeah, our CEO said it very well. We want to be as strong in the digital space as we've been in the physical space, and we're very focused on that. I think we have some of the best talent, some of the best leadership, some of the best intellectual equity within the company that's focused on that space. I think we're taking kind of a long-term, midterm, and near-term approach to digital and mobile in particular, and we're trying to focus on the substance as opposed to the hype, and not chase hype, but instead do things that will make a difference in terms of simplicity, in terms of ease of use, and in terms of dependability and reliability and security. And I haven't yet found a consumer out there who wants one to the sacrifice of the other. They want simplicity and they want ease, and they want all the things that come with quote unquote new media, but they also want all the things that traditionally have come from very stable, very dependable organizations and brands. And taken together, that's a big proposition, and that's what we are focused on.
Yeah, speaking of consumers' experience, and how does Visa can transfer the same great user experience to the areas beyond the credit card, to the other form factors?
Yeah, I think we have a liquid brand, and by definition, then a liquid experience. And people, whether they're going to pay with a phone, whether they're going to pay with a watch, whether they're going to pay in some respects with a vehicle, whether they're going to pay with other kind of quote unquote material or form factors in the future. We have a proposition at this company that's everywhere you want to be. And every single one of those words is carefully thought through, and we feel committed to paying them off from a brand and from a marketing perspective, but also from a consumer proposition perspective. And so if you elect to use your phone to make a payment, we're going to be there. If you like to use your watch as the form of payment that you prefer, we're going to be there. And if you prefer to use your credit card in the traditional swipe, we too will be there. And so our brand, we want to be liquid. Our experience, we want to be liquid. And we want to kind of live up to the positioning of the company. It's much better, by the way, when Morgan Freeman says it than when Chris Curtin says it. But nonetheless, it's a tagline and a position of this company that every Visa employee believes in.
That's great. And there are so much happening in the payment space at the lightning speed. And so innovation is apparently the driver and behind your growth. And how does Visa think of innovation? What is the most exciting, and how does that influence your brand?
Yeah, it's a kinetic category and a kinetic space, and it's one of those very kind of Silicon Valley almost moments where the consumer and the marketplace is driving the change as much as the institutions in the category are driving this change. But taken together, they're producing incredible new ways of paying, if you will. And for me, it's energizing. I think I speak for all of Visa in that respect. We've opened up a innovation center in San Francisco, and we're opening up innovation centers beyond San Francisco, where we can meet with clients, where we can meet with the press, where we can meet with stakeholders, frankly, where we can even bring in some consumers who might be interested in the latest on X, Y, and Z. And we can bring some of the best minds in payments who can explain not only what's occurring in the marketplace, but what Visa's take on what's occurring in the marketplace. And what I think we have found is there's no ready or easy answer. There's a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot of discussion that occurs with our clients. And taken together, I think we're making really, really smart and mindful decisions.
And we also saw that Visa is very actively working with many startups and in the innovation space. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a very kind of open philosophy today, and that philosophy, when it's kind of distilled, effectively means we'd rather have you working with us than working in isolation. And to the extent that we can figure out how to support you and how to effectively connect with you and vice versa, we are kind of open for business and open for innovation and open for co-innovation. Obviously, given the size of our company from an employee standpoint, it's not always a human interaction. In many instances, it can be a digital interaction. In some instances, it can be a community that's in a digital space through which we have interaction. There's a lot of kind of focus on developers right now and more to come there. But I think at its core, we are a company that wants to have kind of a liberal arts mentality. And to the extent that a good idea comes from outside of Visa that we can accommodate and that we can support and that our clients are interested in, we want to be open-minded to that.
And also we see that Visa is shifting your priority to digital and social marketing. And what is the role for digital and social marketing play at Visa?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been out there. We've had a number of really good partnerships with Google and with Facebook and with Twitter and with brands beyond the United States that are kind of equivalent in purpose and focus and scale in some instances. And it's where the world is going, to state the obvious. And we want to be there. It's where people collect information. It's where people share information. It's a great kind of interactive community for us to be able to answer questions that people have, almost akin to what I just mentioned about the innovation centers. They're digital platforms. And then the other part that I think appeals to us about the digital space is that there are some brands in the digital space who effectively are very similar to what Visa stands for. They're a network. And that network is as valuable to, let's just say, a Facebook user if they're in Europe or if they're in Africa or if they're in Asia as it is in the United States. And Visa, for close to or more than 50 years, has been a network as well. And so there's a lot of intellectual synergies there. There are a lot of cultural synergies there. There's a lot of strategic synergies there. And so I think we have kind of a lot of like-minded conversations, and it's not necessarily the marketing team to the sales team. It's a much more cross-functional conversation, which produces much more interesting outcomes.
That's very interesting. And looking at the crystal ball in the next 10 years.
You have one? I'll borrow yours.
Yeah, and what are the tips you want to give to marketers, and what are the skill set marketers need to develop in order to build strong brands in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think that marketers have to have a foot in the future and a foot in today. And if you don't have either, you're in trouble. I think you have to run the company and run the business and represent it and portray it for the year in which you sit, the quarter in which you sit. But you also have to have a view as to what's coming around the bend and what this company could and should stand for in terms of what might or what likely will happen in the future. And I've forgotten who was the person who quoted it, but the easiest way to predict the future is to create it. And I do think that to the extent that you're in this conversation, and to the extent that you have kind of the network of relationships that Visa has in the payment space, the more we can kind of foster, facilitate, lead the dialogue about where payments are and where payments are going, the healthier the brand of Visa will be both today and tomorrow.
Yep, we are here with Chris Curtin, Chief Branding and Innovation Officer at Visa. Thank you very much, Chris.
My pleasure.